Do we have Councillor Frisch?
Oh, good call. I did not see him anywhere. I didn't, I meant to send him a text and then my phone rang and I thought it might have been him. Okay.
Just takes a second here.
Standing by.
We are live.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Just want to welcome everybody to the April 14th, 2020 regular council meeting. Well, regular for these days. Want to acknowledge that we are meeting here at City Hall in the Comox unceded First Nations traditional territories as I stumble through that. Just want to announce, due to the coronavirus COVID-19 emergency, the City of Courtenay, with the authority of Ministerial Order M083, Local Government Meetings and Bylaw Process COVID-19, has implemented changes to the open council meetings. In the interest of public health and safety, public in-person attendance at council meetings will be prohibited until further notice. Council meetings will be presided in person by the mayor or acting mayor, with electronic participation by members of council and staff. Members are available for viewing via live web streaming or video recording on the City of Courtenay website, and will start at 1 p.m. during this period. And today being after a long weekend, we're meeting on a Tuesday, but normally those will be on Mondays. So going through here, adoption of minutes, I don't see any minutes, so that makes that easy. No delegations. Were we under late items going to have a brief discussion? Is that what you're thinking?
That's entirely up to you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, fantastic. So I think the idea is possibly just getting a brief update, bullet point form of things that staff are working on from a financial perspective. We'll put that under late items. It's really a verbal update more than anything, I think. And we'll get into staff reports and presentations, and we have development services, and I'll pass it over to Mr. Allen.
Move receipt.
Oh, thank you. And I saw Melanie mouth second, I believe. So I'm going to give you the credit. Councillor McCollum, sorry. So Councillor Cole Hamilton moved it and Councillor McCollum seconded.
There's an actual resolution for the staff report as opposed to
receipt. Oh, are you moving the resolution or just receipt? Councillor Cole Hamilton?
Just receipt for now.
Okay. All right, it's on the table.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. So, yeah, I mean, I can turn it over to Matt Fitzgerald, who's our Manager of Development Planning. I just wondered, do you want to move the resolution itself for discussion once has reviewed or provided a synopsis and taken questions from council? I guess I'll just pass it over to Matt. Thanks.
Thank you. Through the CAO to Mayor and Council. Public information meetings are requirements of most of the development applications that we receive here at the city. Given the current public health restrictions on gatherings, public information meetings are not possible at this time. And as a result, we propose an alternative process, which is detailed in the report and the attached bylaw, where in-person meetings are not required, but neighbors still have the opportunity to provide comments on the proposal. Adding this process to the current bylaw will allow several current development applications to move forward as they're currently awaiting this step, and they'll then be able to proceed to council for consideration. Staff are recommending that the bylaw is given all 3 readings and adopted. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right. I don't see any hands going up just yet. I do see that Councillor Frisch has joined us though, so that's great. Seeing no hands, unless some, oh, here we go, Councillor McCollum.
Thank you. It was taking me a while to find that button again. I'm just wondering how we decided on the 2-week time frame for response, and whether or not 30 days would maybe be more reasonable, given that it's most likely going to be in writing, and information could be circulated more slowly given how isolated our community finds itself. And then I also just wanted to hear some commentary from staff around whether or not logging phone calls is a reasonable way of tracking neighborhood response, because it's really leaving it in the hands of the proponent whether or not they're reporting back on negative phone calls from neighbors, and whether we would be better off just to limit it to in writing communication.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll turn this over to Matt Fitzgerald.
Yeah, thank you for the question through CAOTA to Mayor and Council. So regarding the phone question first, it's really no different than what currently occurs in the in-person scenario. Often applicants will report on what they heard at public meetings. So I don't see that as much of a change. But it also gives people who maybe don't have access to email the opportunity to at least comment. But ultimately, it is up to the applicant to report back on what they heard. And then I just add to that there is the second opportunity for public input at the public hearing process, or in the case of a variance through the mail out, and then people can provide written comments through the city process. So there still are those opportunities. With regard to the 2-week time frame, that was selected because it seemed like a reasonable amount of time for the letter to be sent out, to be received by individuals, and then for them to have ample time to respond. Keeping in mind that, with development application, there's always the pressure to move quickly and move things forward in a timely manner. So it was balancing those two competing interests.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just one other question. Have we ever had any incidents of people coming to a follow-up public hearing or providing feedback to city staff saying that their commentary wasn't provided? Is that, do we have any history of that, or is that a needless concern on my part?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Not to my knowledge. Usually, all the cases I've seen, the response is given at the public information meeting are forwarded to staff, so it hasn't been a problem.
Just lost her.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
We just lost one TV. So.
Okay. All right, I'll let Mr. Kushner. All right. Old TV, just whacked them on the side and they'd come back. But I don't see any further questions at this point in time. Would just kind of remind, I think it's only Councillor Hillian, but if you keep your mic muted most of the time, just in case something happens in the background, that would be much appreciated.
My apologies, Mayor. Maybe I could just briefly speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't see your hand up, but I will give you the floor. Absolutely.
No, I support the motion. I think it's a reasonable change given the circumstances we're under. I was just going to comment that, as I may have said before, I see the motion for receipt as redundant. The item's on the agenda and there is a proposed resolution. So just a small point of order. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think it may have just been to get clarity on some of the questions to see if maybe that motion needed to be amended prior to going in or something like that. So not seeing any further hands at this moment in time. I'll just ask, are there any people or any council members that are against or opposed to this receipt? Seeing none, we'll call receipt has been voted on. And on the main motion, if somebody can move that.
I can move it, Mayor.
Okay.
I move that based on the April 14th, 2020 staff report, development application procedures bylaw amendment number 3003, alternative process for public information meetings, council approve option 1 and proceed to first, second, and third readings of development application procedures bylaw amendment number 3003, alternative process for public information meetings.
Excellent. And then who seconded that?
I'll second that.
Councillor Frisch.
Fresh.
Excellent. All right. We've had a discussion on it already. Does anybody have any further comments or questions? Seeing none. Again, is anybody opposed to this motion? Seeing nobody opposed, we'll consider this unanimous in agreement moving forward. And that is that part. I think, again, I know it's on the list, but I believe we're still sort of dispensing of the council reports. Under new business, if there's something significant, maybe you can bring it up at that point. But we do have a resolution to go in camera.
Move the resolution. Shall I just read it through then?
Yes, please.
Move that notice is hereby given that a special in-camera meeting closed to the public will be held on April 14, 2020 at the conclusion of the regular council meeting pursuant to the following subsections of the Community Charter: 91 sub C, labor relations or other employee relations; 91 sub E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality; and 91 sub K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that, in light of the view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public.
Second.
All right, Councillor Theos seconded that. Thanks very much. And is anybody opposed to the motion? Seeing no one in opposition, we'll consider that unanimous moving forward. And under new business, we do have a letter from L'Arche. Councillor Hillian.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that the correspondence received April 8th, 2020 from L'Arche Comox Valley requesting the City of Courtenay's support for their affordable and supportive housing initiative be received for information, and that staff provide a letter to L'Arche Comox Valley in support of their application for funding to Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, to build a housing complex that will provide affordable residential suites for adults with developmental disabilities and for low-income seniors.
Second.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Just speaking to it briefly, Mr. Mayor, the L'Arche organization did approach myself last week, and I believe they'd had earlier discussions with our planning department. They do have a project in mind. Of course, we can't comment on the specific project, but the letter that is provided is essentially an endorsement of their aims and objectives, and the city's partnership with that organization in encouraging the development of housing for affordable housing for the client group that they serve. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Are there any further comments or questions? Seeing none, are anybody opposed? And I don't see anybody opposed, so we'll consider receipt unanimous. And getting into bylaws, we have first, second, and third reading of the first bylaw. If somebody would like to move that.
Happy to do.
Okay. Oh, we can't hear you though.
Space bar. Yeah, I was trying to use my space bar clever like, and it didn't work. So I'll move that the development application procedure amendment bylaw number 3003/2020, which is to amend the development application procedure to permit the use of alternative public information meeting process in extenuating circumstances, pass first, second, and third reading.
Second.
Okay, and Wendy's got who the seconder is there. Again, any questions or comments regarding this? And seeing none, anybody opposed? Seeing nobody opposed, we will consider this unanimously approved. And then for final adoption.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that development
I'll move
application.
that.
I think Councillor Hillian's has got it at this point.
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay on the feed, Councillor Frisch. I'll move that.
Yeah, same on this end.
Okay. I'll move the Development Application Procedures Amendment Bylaw number 3003-2020, a bylaw to amend the Development Application Procedures Bylaw to permit the use of an alternative public information meeting process in extenuating circumstances be finally adopted.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, I think that was 3 or 4 people seconded it. So fantastic. I will poll council just considering this is for final adoption. So starting with Councillor Cole Hamilton.
In favor?
Councillor, you think I would have been more prepared. Councillor Frisch.
In favor.
Councillor Hillian.
In favor?
Councillor McCullum.
In favor.
Councillor Moran.
In favor.
Councillor Theos.
In favor?
And I'm in favor as well. So that's another unanimous. I'm glad it worked out that way. Would have been a little weird if it didn't, but thanks very much. So that's been moved. And under new business, which, actually, I think we kind of blew right past new business. Last week we did pass the financial plan. There was some discussion around how that will impact our financial plan, et cetera. And so I'm not sure if any of council needs a refresher on any of that. I have spoken to Mr. Allen, but I think it was just one of those things. If council wanted any more of an update, I know there are councils around the province at this point that are making motions, but in regards to their budgets. But yeah. So how does council feel on this one? Everybody, Councillor Hillian?
Thank you, Mayor. I think under the circumstances, it seems only a matter of time before we run into some challenges, whether that's with income coming in or expenditures going out. And of course, I'm also very concerned about what our citizens are going to face at tax deadline time if in fact businesses remain closed, people remain under and unemployed. And I'm just wondering if it might be prudent on our part, pending some notification from the province, to get some type of staff report in the coming month on the implications of the financial situation that we face, in particular at the City of Courtenay.
Mr. Allen?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So staff are already actioning a lot of these things in anticipation that we are going to see either more announcements coming out or more indication of the impacts to business and to residents writ large, I guess. So we're actually doing this work. We're working on essential services, critical staffing. We are very strongly of a mind that we should stay the course until we hear any differently from the higher levels of government or the federal and provincial governments anyways. There would be all sorts of challenges and implications if we tried to go back into the budget at this late stage to make any changes in anticipation of things that we're not fully aware of yet. I think we just continue on the path that we're on. I did have a discussion with the Russell Dyson. It looks like they're continuing on in their path of with the adopted 2020 budget. They will be, like we will be, looking at 2021 and what changes may need to be made to the financial plan based on what's unfolding now. But again, to reiterate, I think we already have a very lean budget. We have a capital plan that relies very little on general taxation revenue. And we have staff, critical staffing levels right now that don't allow us for a lot of leeway when it comes to making changes to this current financial plan at this stage. So I would respectfully request that you wait, I guess, until we know more, and then we'll pass that on as information comes in and we're able to process and align it with our current circumstances.
And I might just add, you know, we've been on weekly calls, sometimes more than once a week, with the province, Minister Robinson and other ministers. And right from the get-go, I mean, they have said the issue around taxation, whether it be for funding us or the ability of our constituents to be able to fund the city, it's been brought up. The province has said that it is very high on their list of priorities. But since the tax notices generally don't go out for another month or two, they're really focused on the actions that need to be dealt with right now. So that's around making sure the medical system is not overwhelmed, really trying to make sure that people are staying at home, those kinds of things. So they have said repeatedly that this is something that they're very aware of and something that they are going to be making announcements on in the future. But, you know, again, I think the challenge they have is very similar to ours, which is basically trying to rewrite the playbook as they're playing a game. And it's a pretty difficult thing to do. But I have pretty good faith that this will all be sorted out within the next month or two based on the conversations we've been having. So, and if there's any other questions, if you want to put up your hand, otherwise we can move adjournment into the in-camera. If somebody would like to move that.
Move adjournment.
Somebody would like
Seconded.
Thank you, Doug. Councillor Hillian, is there anyone opposed to going in camera? I don't see anybody opposing it, so we'll assume that we are going in unanimously. And we'll just wait until we get an audio cue.